Brock Lesnar just became the most dangerous force in WWE history by being revealed as the true leader of the Vision after Paul Heyman orchestrated the greatest long-term conspiracy ever conceived. And if you're not absolutely terrified by the implications of the Beast incarnate controlling the most mysterious and dominant faction in wrestling, you clearly don't understand how completely this changes everything about WWE's power structure. What we witnessed wasn't just a shocking reveal, it was the culmination of years of manipulation by the wise man who has been playing everyone from the very beginning while positioning Brock as the ultimate power behind WWE's throne. The sight of Brock Lesnar standing at the center of the Vision with every member bowing in submission while Paul Heyman stood beside him with that trademark sinister smile will be remembered as one of the most calculated plot twists in professional wrestling history. This wasn't just unexpected, it was the perfect execution of a master plan so sophisticated that nobody saw it coming despite all the clues being hidden in plain sight for months. Brock Lesnar is the Vision. Paul Heyman has been manipulating everyone for years to build Brock an unstoppable army. Those weren't just shocked words from stunned commentators, they were terrified realizations that the wise man's greatest con wasn't serving Roman Reigns or any other client but rather orchestrating the ultimate power consolidation with Brock as the secret puppet master controlling WWE's most dangerous faction. The horror in their voices captured how completely everyone had been deceived. You want to talk about revelations that rewrite everything we thought we understood about recent WWE history? Brock Lesnar being revealed as the Vision's true leader means that every major storyline, every faction war, every power struggle has actually been orchestrated by Paul Heyman to systematically eliminate threats while building an unstoppable force around the Beast. The scope of this conspiracy is absolutely staggering. The reveal itself was masterfully executed to create maximum shock and psychological impact. The Vision had called a meeting in the ring where everyone expected them to announce their next target when suddenly Paul Heyman's music hit and the wise man walked out with his trademark microphone in hand. But instead of his usual verbose introduction, he simply said, "Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to your true leader." But here's what makes this revelation absolutely devastating: Brock didn't just walk out to join the Vision. The entire faction formed a path and bowed to him as he approached, revealing that they had been serving him all along without anyone realizing the hierarchy. The synchronized submission showed this wasn't new but rather an existing power structure that had been deliberately hidden. The most shocking aspect of this reveal was Paul Heyman's explanation of how long this has been planned. "I've been building this since the day Brock returned to WWE years ago," Heyman declared. "Every client I've served, every faction I've advised, every move I've orchestrated has been designed to identify allies, eliminate threats, and position my beast at the apex of WWE's power structure where he belongs." Here's a question that's going to blow your mind when you think about the implications. How many major WWE moments over the past several years were actually orchestrated by Paul Heyman as part of this master plan to build the Vision around Brock? The actual breakdown of Heyman's conspiracy was systematic and revealed planning that goes back years. He explained how his time with Roman Reigns wasn't actually about serving the tribal chief but rather about studying the bloodline structure and weaknesses while positioning himself to eventually recruit their tactics for Brock's benefit. But the most devastating revelation came when Heyman admitted that even his betrayals of various clients were actually strategic moves. "Every time I seemingly turned on someone, I was actually identifying whether they possessed the loyalty, intelligence, and ruthlessness worthy of serving my Vision, Brock Lesnar's ultimate dominance." The reframing of Heyman's entire history of betrayals as actually being strategic testing rather than genuine alliance building creates terrifying implications. This means that everyone Heyman has ever worked with was simply being evaluated for potential recruitment or elimination in service of Brock's long-term conquest. Quick question for the conspiracy theorists: looking back at Paul Heyman's history of clients and betrayals, can you identify specific moments that now appear to be parts of this master plan? The most infuriating aspect for wrestling fans is realizing how completely they were manipulated. Every time we thought we understood Paul Heyman's motivations, every time we believed he had genuine loyalty to a client, we were actually watching a master manipulator execute a years-long deception designed to build the ultimate power structure. The investigation into when this plan actually began reveals it may go back even further than Heyman admitted. Sources suggest he's been building toward this moment since Brock's original WWE departure, meaning over a decade of patient strategy and manipulation to position every piece perfectly for the Vision's reveal. But perhaps the most shocking detail is who else is apparently part of the Vision. The reveal showed multiple wrestlers unmasking as members, including several current champions and main event stars who had been secretly working for Brock while everyone thought they were independent competitors. The infiltration is far deeper than anyone imagined. The revelation that current champions have been serving Brock means that title pictures and storylines we thought were organic were actually manufactured by the Vision to consolidate power and eliminate threats. The scope of control they've already achieved is genuinely terrifying. Here's another question that's going to make you reconsider everything: which current WWE champions and top stars do you think might secretly be Vision members who haven't been revealed yet? The most disturbing aspect of this revelation is what it means for everyone who has opposed the Vision. Every wrestler who fought against them was actually fighting Brock Lesnar's consolidated power without realizing it, and now that the truth is revealed, they understand just how hopeless their situation actually is. The testimonies from wrestlers who have been fighting the Vision reveal genuine fear now that they understand Brock is behind everything. Fighting anonymous faction members is one thing, one competitor revealed. Knowing you're actually fighting Brock Lesnar's army with Paul Heyman's strategic genius behind it, that's absolutely terrifying. But the most shocking implication is what this means for the bloodline. Paul Heyman's time with Roman Reigns wasn't just reconnaissance, he was actively sabotaging the bloodline from within while appearing to serve them. Every weakness, every strategic error, every internal conflict may have been deliberately engineered by Heyman. The revelation that Paul Heyman may have been actively working against the bloodline while pretending to be the wise man creates the potential for Roman Reigns' most personal rivalry yet. He trusted Heyman completely, only to discover his most loyal advisor was actually a traitor serving Brock all along. The comparison to other wrestling conspiracies reveals that Heyman's Vision plot might be the most sophisticated long-term storyline ever executed. The NWO's formation was shocking but straightforward. The Ministry's reveal was dramatic but short-term. But the Vision conspiracy spans years and involves multiple layers of deception. Here's a question for the wrestling storytelling experts: does this revelation represent the pinnacle of long-term booking, or is it too complex for most fans to fully appreciate? The most terrifying implication for WWE's roster is that the Vision now has the perfect combination: Brock Lesnar's physical dominance and Paul Heyman's strategic brilliance backed by an army of loyal operatives. How could anyone possibly compete against that level of power and coordination? The investigation into the Vision's full membership reveals they have infiltrated every level of WWE. Not just wrestlers, but reportedly referees, backstage officials, and even corporate personnel who have been feeding information to Heyman and ensuring decisions favor the Vision's agenda. But perhaps the most shocking detail is that this infiltration apparently includes medical staff who have been providing injury reports on Brock's opponents, giving him strategic advantages by knowing exactly where to target during matches. The level of corruption and conspiracy is genuinely disturbing. The revelation that the Vision has compromised WWE's institutional integrity means that no match, no decision, no outcome can be trusted. Every championship change, every injury, every surprise may have been orchestrated by Heyman's master plan. The fan reaction to this revelation has been absolutely explosive, with social media erupting in debate about whether the storyline is brilliant long-term booking or too convoluted to follow. The complexity has created genuine division among wrestling fans about whether they love or hate this direction. Here's a question about storytelling complexity: does intricate long-term conspiracy booking enhance wrestling or make it too complicated for casual fans to follow? The most controversial aspect is whether Brock Lesnar actually has the character depth to be an effective faction leader. He's always been presented as a mercenary who works alone, so positioning him as the mastermind behind an elaborate conspiracy requires believing he has strategic intelligence rather than just physical dominance. The testimonies from wrestlers who have worked with Brock reveal that he's actually far more intelligent than his beast incarnate character suggests. Brock understands wrestling psychology and business better than almost anyone, one veteran revealed. He just never needed to show it before because his physical abilities were enough. But the most important question is what the Vision's ultimate goal actually is. Do they simply want championship dominance, or is their vision something more ambitious like complete WWE control? Understanding their endgame is crucial to predicting what happens next. The investigation into the Vision's manifesto reveals they apparently believe WWE has become too soft and political, and they want to return to a time when pure dominance and physical superiority mattered more than storylines and social media. The ideology gives them purpose beyond just accumulating power. The most shocking theory is that the Vision might actually be positioning Brock to take over WWE's corporate structure, not just its wrestling hierarchy. If they've infiltrated every level including backstage and corporate, they could potentially orchestrate a legitimate business coup. Here's a question about kayfabe boundaries: how far should wrestling storylines go in blurring the line between on-screen faction warfare and implications of real corporate takeover? The comparison between the Vision under Brock's leadership and other dominant factions reveals this could be the most dangerous group in WWE history. They combine the NWO's numbers, Evolution's strategic planning, the Shield's coordination, and the Bloodline's family loyalty into one unstoppable force. The testimonies from wrestling historians reveal that no previous faction has had the combination of physical dominance, Brock, strategic genius, Heyman, institutional infiltration, Vision members throughout WWE, and long-term planning that this group possesses. They're genuinely unprecedented. But perhaps the most terrifying aspect is that we likely still don't know the full extent of the Vision's membership. Heyman's reveal only showed obvious members, but he specifically said there are sleeper agents throughout WWE who will reveal themselves when the time is right. Anyone could be Vision. The paranoia this creates is exactly what Heyman wants. Now every wrestler has to wonder if their friends, allies, even family members might secretly be Vision members waiting to betray them. The psychological warfare is as effective as physical dominance. The most important consideration is whether there's any alliance or faction that can realistically oppose the Vision now that Brock is revealed as their leader. The Bloodline? Cody's allies? Returning legends? Who possibly has the power to combat this consolidated force? Here's a question for the booking prediction experts. What faction or alliance do you think WWE is building to eventually challenge the Vision, and do they have any realistic chance of success? The investigation into potential opposition reveals that multiple factions are apparently discussing forming a super alliance to combat the Vision's dominance. The enemy of my enemy logic might create the most unlikely partnerships in WWE history, as desperate times require desperate measures. But the most shocking development is that some wrestlers are apparently trying to join the Vision rather than fight them. The perception that Brock's faction is inevitable winners has created a bandwagon effect where ambitious wrestlers see alignment as their best career move. The coming weeks will reveal whether the Vision under Brock's leadership represents the beginning of a new era of dominance, or whether the reveal has actually created the unity among opposition needed to finally defeat them. Either way, WWE will never be the same. Here's a final question for the entire WWE Universe. Now that Brock Lesnar has been revealed as the Vision's true leader through Paul Heyman's master plan, do you think this makes them more or less interesting as a faction? The wrestling world is reeling from the revelation that Brock Lesnar has been the secret leader of the Vision all along, with Paul Heyman orchestrating years of manipulation to build the ultimate power structure. This wasn't just a faction, it was a conspiracy that infiltrated every level of WWE while systematically eliminating threats and consolidating power. The Beast doesn't just destroy opponents anymore, he controls the entire system through an army that has been operating in the shadows while everyone focused on surface-level conflicts. The Vision is revealed, and the nightmare is just beginning. Brock Lesnar's emergence as the Vision's true leader represents Paul Heyman's greatest manipulation, years of strategic planning, calculated betrayals, and patient positioning to create the ultimate power consolidation. Every client Heyman served, every faction he advised, every move he orchestrated was actually part of building Brock an unstoppable empire. The wise man's master plan is complete, the Beast has his army, and WWE will never be the same now that the Vision's true purpose is revealed.